So money's disappearing with Alex Jones, Sam Bankman-Fried, and the Trumps. Does this mean that the bad guys are going to get away with it? Not so fast. Let's talk about it in today's video. Hi, I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. I'm also a lawyer and an academic, and I'm here to help you stand up to the BS of the MAGA crowd. Well, as it turns out, my specialty while I was practicing law was bankruptcy law. So when we hear about Alex Jones's various bankruptcies and FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried's crypto company filing bankruptcy, I'm pretty familiar with what they're talking about. And you can see the same thing happening, by the way, with the Trumps. What they all have in common is they owe a bunch of money to people that they don't want to pay. Alex Jones, of course, is on the hook for over $1 billion to the Sandy Hook families, who he lied about repeatedly and knowingly. Sam Bankman-Fried is the crypto guru who started the exchange FTX, the crypto company that had the Super Bowl ad, and almost overnight, billions of dollars of value of that company disappeared. How could that happen? And the problem is, FTX has a bunch of people who deposit money in it so that they're able to buy their cryptocurrency. So when these people show up saying they want to be paid back, well, guess what? Sam Bankman-Fried no longer has the money for them. So these are all now creditors that FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried owe money to. And the Trumps, of course, are facing a whole slew of lawsuits. Not the least is one by New York Attorney General Letitia James, seeking damages for essentially what amounts to tax fraud. In every one of these cases, the concern is that these individuals are basically going to take the money they have from the entity that's liable for this debt and for these judgments and basically give the money to a relative or a friend or a different company where those funds would be inaccessible. I used to hear this all the time when I was practicing law. I'd have a client come in and they had some big asset, and I'd say to them, hey, you know, if you file bankruptcy, that asset will be taken by your creditors. And the response I inevitably heard from my clients was, oh, well, can't I just give that asset to my brother or sister or cousin or friend? You fill in the blank. To which my response inevitably was, they've figured that out. They know that you can do that. And so they have ways to stop it. And what they can do is pursue a fraudulent transfer lawsuit where they can go back as long as 6 years before the bankruptcy was filed and claw back those funds. What's more is for there to be a fraudulent transfer, it's kind of a term of art, there actually doesn't even have to be fraud. The only requirements are that they can show that value is given to another for, quote, less than reasonably equivalent value. Well, if you're wondering what they're talking about here, let me use a great example from Alex Jones. The way that Jones made most of his money, by the way, is by selling health supplements that he pitched to his cultish believers in his podcasts and videos. Well, as it turns out, once these lawsuits were filed and it became clear that Jones was in some trouble, he started paying his personal trainer $100,000 a week to help ship supplements. In other words, he got $100,000 a week for a shipping and receiving job. As it turns out, my daughter's dating someone who does shipping and receiving. I wonder if he's getting paid $100,000 a week. So what's going to be able to happen is that the Sandy Hook families will be able to sue the personal trainer to get back some of those funds that were given to him for less than reasonably equivalent value while the company was facing these lawsuits. And they're going to be able to go back 6 years and look for any other kinds of transactions like these, where Alex Jones made some type of preferential payment to somebody who is a friend or relative to try to shield those assets from the Sandy Hook families. That, by the way, is what bankruptcy attorneys do. So for people who think bankruptcy attorneys are bad, well, we do good work. Just ask the Sandy Hook families. Similarly, Sam Bankman-Fried was transferring money from FTX, which had the deposits of all these people who were looking to buy cryptocurrency, and took those funds into another one of his companies that he used to make investments. Even though Bankman-Fried has lost billions of dollars in value, he's still said to be worth nearly $1 billion. So my guess is the bankruptcy attorneys for FTX, who are going to try to get back some funds for those depositors, are going to be going back through the records to see how those funds were spent and to try to claw back as much of them as possible to pay back some of those depositors who've lost everything in many cases. And where Trump comes into the picture is, as we know, Donald Trump is, maybe a fairly unscrupulous business person, one might say. And he and his family and business associates have been known to transfer money to each other. Just ask Alan Weisselberg, who has been convicted and is testifying against the Trumps because of the inappropriate transactions they made with him to avoid tax liability. So what the New York court has done is appointed a retired judge, Barbara Jones, as a monitor to oversee the finances of the Trump organizations and the Trump individuals, to make sure that they're not transferring money back and forth to try to keep it out of the hands of the New York Attorney General. As I understand it, Ivanka was aghast at the fact that her finances were going to be overseen by this monitor, because she, of course, claims she has nothing to do with Donald Trump's finances. We'll see what the monitor says. At any rate, the point of all this is, although it sometimes seems like the bad guys are getting away with murder, stashing away these assets so the people who've been hurt can't get what's their due, don't necessarily give up on it. There are bankruptcy attorneys out there who are looking for those assets to help make those creditors at least somewhat whole. Well, as my longtime viewers know, I've long been a skeptic of cryptocurrency, and I was very critical of Matt Damon and some of the other stars who were basically selling out to the crypto industry, encouraging unsuspecting investors to try to put their money into this thing that's basically nothing more than gambling, as we've now seen. If you want to see a video I did a long time ago about that, check out this video over here. I'll see you then. In the meantime, let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.